So let's say for someone listening to this, they're entrepreneurs, they're running companies. What do they need to do? What are the steps? And what are some strategies that you teach them to create superfans?
So one strategy that I like to teach is something I call the W.A.V.E method.
Okay.
W-A-V-E. Like wave, or like
wave.
a freaking wave.
Like a concert, right? Yeah, okay, I get it. Yes.
Or a football game, and you're
doing
the wave.
You're doing the wave. Yes, I got it.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of great energy around the word wave. It can mean a lot of different things, and usually energy is part of the meaning of the word, right? But I use W.A.V.E as an acronym. It's a little bit like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you think about the Maslow pyramid,
right.
We all know so well. You've got to have the physiological, and then the safety, and then it goes up from there, right?
Right.
So
okay.
I think that super fandom is the same thing. You've got to have a base. So I use the acronym W.A.V.E to help people remember that you've got to make people feel welcomed, appreciated, validated, and engaged.
Okay.
Right? Welcomed, appreciated, validated, and engaged for them to become a fan of what you're doing. And just like Maslow, it starts at the bottom. If somebody doesn't feel welcomed, they're not going to feel appreciated. And if they don't feel appreciated, they're not going to feel validated. And if they don't feel validated, they're not going to be engaged. So you've got to do each of these things. You've got to be conscious about taking people up through each one of these levels to get to the point of engagement. And once you've got engaged customers who buy into your why, they buy into what it is that you're doing, you've connected your story to their story in a very tangible way that they understand. Those are the engaged consumers that begin to have a spillover effect, right? They start to make referrals for you. They start to help you get these really highly qualified inbound new customers based on the strength of your brand, based on the strength of the business you've done with them already. So that's one of the methods that I teach people, W.A.V.E, to think about making sure that, and a lot of people would say, oh, I would never make a customer feel unwelcome. And you probably consciously wouldn't, right? Like a lot of business people would say, yeah, I would never want to make people feel unwelcome. But I say, well, have you ever maybe posted something on a personal social page or on your blog that you thought was really funny, but maybe to somebody from a different background, like wouldn't be so funny?
Yes.
How do you think that makes them feel? It doesn't make them feel welcome, right?
Yes.
And the same thing with appreciation. I think we've all been in situations before where we haven't felt appreciated by a business, right? Commodities are notorious for this, and utilities are notorious for this, about making people feel like they're just one of a million people, right? Like, I don't appreciate you as a customer. Validation, again, there's an amazing quote from Oprah on the power of validation. She says she's interviewed over 30,000 people, and every single one of them has been looking for that exact same thing, and that's validation. They want to know, I hear you, I feel you, what you're saying matters to me. It's a great quote from Oprah. No, I can't take credit for that. But validation. And then the E is for engaged. If you do these things and you build it up correctly and you give people a platform to engage with your brand, they absolutely will. And that's sort of the basic of how you start to go about creating a superfan strategy.
And how does that tie to, let's say, social media? Because I know you work with a lot of different companies, you do keynotes. A lot of companies, even now, they're still very corporate, very like faceless, right? That here's my product, you buy my product, and that's it. But there's no story. I definitely want to ask you the next question about how storytelling ties into all this. But how does the concept of superfan, how does that tie to social media, and in terms of bigger company who they have a brand, they have a logo, that doesn't have a ton of emotions around that, and that doesn't create superfans. Like, what's your take on that?
Well, first I would challenge you to say that just because you have a logo, you don't have a brand.
That's right.
Like, you might have a business, but a logo does not make a brand. And I think 100%. That's one of the principles of marketing that a lot of people get wrong.
Yes.
And they think, oh, I'm doing enough. So I would say you perhaps don't have a brand if you don't have a personality on social media, because people buy from people, right?
Yes.
People don't buy from companies. People buy from people.
Yes.
And people want stories that they connect with. So if your business isn't relating to people in a very personal way, perhaps you don't have a stronger brand as you think you do. And perhaps those people might be a little bit more likely to try a competitor than you think they are. You might not
Yes.
have them as blocked as you think you do.
Yeah, it makes sense. And in my mind, like I say the same thing. Like people buy from people, right? Where you don't want just a transactional relationship, right? You buy something, you sell something, and that's it. We want a transformational relationship. Now it's the beginning of a relationship where, okay, now we've done business, you enjoy the experience, you enjoy the product, and now how do we cultivate that relationship and take it to the next level, right? And that's how you get all the referrals, and that's how you have all the customers coming back and buying more from you again and again, right? So I know it sounds such a basic concept, but I agree with you. Most companies, you don't think about it. And I think you brought a very, very important point. I want to make sure that our listeners get this. It's about competitor, right? Prove your business, because in terms of, let's say take what I do. Let's say in terms of teaching sales and closing, how many people teach sales? How many people teach closing? How many books are out there on Amazon, right? But how many people who teaches closing, who maybe is an Iron Man fan, who is a Bruce Lee fan, who has My Immigrant Story? Then there's only one, because I'm
exactly.
Right.
You're uncopyable.
Right, and that's actually what gives you the edge in the marketplace. So Brittany, what about storytelling? So in terms of, so I'm an entrepreneur, I want to create more Superfans. What do you recommend? So I want to kind of get my name out there more. I want to build my brand more. Like, what's some of the stories that I should share with my audience to create the connection?
So there's not one stock answer, because everybody is different. Every
Yes.
entrepreneur is different. Every
Yes.
company is different. And what I always say is, the most important story isn't yours. The most important story is that of your potential customer, right? So your job is to figure out the points of intersection between your story and their story. Where is that, like in the Venn diagram, like that circle in the middle? That's what you're trying to get to, is the overlap. So it's probably not one story that you're going to be telling as an entrepreneur. It may be a collection of, 5 or 6 or 8 different stories that have some overlapping themes, but you're going to tell a different story based on the audience, because you want to connect with them, right? So you're looking for points of commonality. You're looking for things that you have in common. As people, we inherently like people who we perceive to be like us more, because it's like a safety thing, right? It's like a physiological, like, oh, I have something in common with that person.
Yes.
And we like it. We get that little shot of dopamine or whatever it is to our brain. So that's what you're trying to do. You're looking for points of connection. So if you're just telling the same story out there to everybody, you're not going to connect as well as you can. It's just like, a restaurant that has one thing on the menu. Like, yeah, maybe I'll go there when I want mac and cheese because they have great mac and cheese. But if I want more people to come more on a more regular basis, I've got to have more than one thing on the menu.
Right. And how has that shifted in terms of when you work with companies that they do just advertising, to do traditional marketing? How does the concept of Superfan, like how do they integrate this in terms of, okay, so storytelling, being more on social media, okay, they get that. What else could they do?
So, it's really the first thing that I always tell companies to do is figure out who your ideal customer avatar is. Like, who is it that you want to be the super fan? Because you're never going to get everybody, right? And that's something a lot of people like to say, oh, I have a product that applies to everyone. Well, if you have a product that applies to everyone, you're never going to be the best to anyone, right? Like you can do anything, but you can't do everything. I don't know who said that, but I think that's like the best saying ever. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. So the first thing you got to do is figure out who it is that you're uniquely qualified to serve in a really fantastic way. And then once you've got that avatar in place, that's when you can start doing the groundwork to figure out how you're going to make these customers feel, like I was talking about before, welcomed, appreciated, validated, engaged. What does your Superfan strategy look like?
That makes sense. I love the W.A.V.E because it's so easy to remember, right? And welcoming, I think, is also sometimes, like you said, where the welcome is not just, hey, it's more after even they've done business with you, or the minute they've done business with you, do they feel ignored? Because sometimes we buy from a business, it's like, now after I pay them the money, like that's it. You don't hear from them again. There's no thank you. There's nothing, right?
Yeah, people don't have a strategy for after the click, or they think they have a strategy for after the click, but it's really just to follow up when they want something, right? Like they want a referral, or they want a review, or they want something else. And like, we've all got that friend who only reaches out when they need something.
That's right.
Don't be that person. Don't be the person who only reaches out to your customers when you need something from them, because that's not how you build a relationship. That's how you build, a very like one way.
And we all know that friend calls you, say, okay, what do you want? Right? You know that if just tell me exactly what you want. Like let's cut the BS, right? It's always that kind of relationship. And you don't want to spend time with that person, right? You don't want to hang out with that person. It's exactly like that. What about in terms of, does this apply just for the service business, or does this also apply for product business?
This certainly applies to the product business as well. This applies to anybody who wants to get referrals. And certainly product and service businesses are different. And it also depends on, the cost point of the product that you're looking to sell. But certainly this is applicable to everyone, because as you said before, the cost of acquiring a customer is typically so much higher than the cost of keeping a customer, especially if that customer is referring new customers to you.
And customers, they have now so many more choices. It's nothing new, like, unless you have some breakthrough technology. But for most of us, there's nothing new under the sun, right? Like, they can buy this product from you. They can probably have like 10, 20 other choices. You could argue, your product is better, and you've been in business longer, and all these things. But at the end of the day, people have a lot of choices. Right? It's good and bad. Right, it's good and bad. Right? When you do have more choices, then it forces all of us to elevate a game to be better, right?
Exactly, yeah. And that's going to continue to be the story, right? Like, we live in an age of technology. We live in a world where everyone is forced to up their game constantly just to compete. And that's, I saw a really great stat the other day in a Forbes article. It said the cost of people switching businesses is $75 billion a year. $75 billion is lost from people switching from one company to another because of poor customer service. And 67% of people in that same study said that they had switched companies within the past year because of a poor customer service experience.
Oh, wow.
$75 billion, right? And 2/3 of people who say, if I have a bad experience, I'm going to switch. Like, that's the high stakes, right? Like, we're at a point where, again, it's like, great customer service is no longer, something that's nice to have. Like, it's the cost of entry.